Welcome back to Albasha 2, Cuthbert Cooks, Clan in the Sand. Hot one today, about 40 degrees outside, the humidity's kicked in, so we're well and truly into summer. So at the end of our autumn, or whatever you want to call it, and then into summer we go from hot to hotter. So it's not really a change in season, it's just a change in temperature. So I thought today, as many schools have finished, I thought I'd do something for uni kids. You know, cooking for university students, or something that the university student could cook. I mean, I've had, my two boys have gone through uni. I mean, Kyle went through university in Australia, and he could cook okay. I mean, he relied a little bit too much on the old Maccas, but he could throw a dish together. But number two son, Cody, he's a real fan. He's a real keen amateur cook, and he gets onto the internet and he does all sorts of stuff, yeah, from his bowls of Japanese rice topped with crispy chicken to he makes his own sushi bombs. So he's a bit of a dab hand, so a bit like the old man as a cook. But as a cook, you know, you try and teach your kids as much as you can about cooking, but when you work in busy hotels and busy operations and you just don't get the time, and then all of a sudden they turn 18 and they're going to uni, so you've got to pull your finger out and try and teach them something. So I thought, look, I'll do a simple dish that any uni kid should be able to throw together. You know, I guess mum and dad are always worried about the nutrition and what they're eating and that sort of stuff. But some of the things that you can do at home are very straightforward and easy. Yeah, you don't need to have a degree in rocket science to cook a little bit of chicken with tomato. Yeah, and that's all we're going to do today. So I've got two boys in uni, one finished, one doing university here in Dubai with us, and of course I've always been worried about what they're eating and what their nutrition's like. So people ask me, you know, oh, what's healthy? Well, everything's healthy. It's just that how much of it you're going to eat. Yeah, so olive oil's healthy, but you don't use too much of it. Chocolate, little bit's healthy for some people. You know, it just depends on you. Yeah, I mean, if you eat 20 kilo of sausage a day, maybe not so healthy. Yeah, but if you eat a couple of sausages a day, or some chicken one day, some beef the next day, fish, mix it up a bit, little bit of vegetarian, then you get that balance. And I think that's what's important for people to understand, is that, you know, it's up to the individual how they want to eat, and then also just looking at what you've got. I've got some chicken here. Now, I've got most of the fat removed in the skin, but on the wings there's still a little bit of fat, but I've got the bones inside still. So all the bones are there. So the bones are going to give extra flavour and extra nutrition as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little seasoned flour. Me old flour. We're going to make a seasoned flour, which we're going to dust the chicken in, and then we're going to have some sliced garlic and sliced onions. So we're going to pop the chicken in, lots of nice olive oil, the Rama olive oil again, into a nice heavy pan. Yeah, so we want quite a bit of heat, and the flour will just give the chicken a little bit of flavour through the seasoning, but also will help them to thicken the sauce as well. Then simple, we're going to add some butter beans, some chopped tomatoes straight out of the supermarket, bit of good old Heinz tomato paste, baby potatoes that we're going to chop in half, and then just finish it off with a little bit of chicken stock. We made up a bit of chicken stock from the Maggi cube. Got that made with nice hot water, so the chicken stock's already ready to go. And then into the seasoned flour, we're just going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper, nice little ground cayenne pepper. So I want to pop that in. Yeah, sprinkle of that, half a teaspoon is enough. I also like putting a little bit of garlic, you know, a little bit of garlic powder in there as well. I've got my overhead fan on, so my garlic powder's running away. Again, another half a teaspoon, just a little bit there to keep a little bit of flavour of that in. Freshly ground black pepper, just put that through, you know, as much as you want. And then of course a little bit of freshly ground salt. Now, is this dish Italian, or is this dish whatever? I don't know, you can be the judges of that, but I'm not too sure. My mate Domenico would bless it as completely Italian, but I do like oregano, so I'm even going to stick a little bit of oregano inside the seasoned flour. Just going to give that a little bit of a mix around with a spoon, just to break up the bits and pieces. And when you taste this, you want to be able to taste some of those flavours in your flour. Yeah. So we just have that nicely mixed. We're going to pop that on the side for the minute. I'm just going to quickly chop up the onion. So I've got a nice little red onion, not too big, just nicely thinly slice that, so we get a nice flavour of onion through our dish. And then we've got some nice peeled garlic. So then again we look at the garlic, slice him nice and thin. We have the stove turned on, ready with our pan. We then drop in our Rama olive oil again. Cook everything with olive oil, it's great, love it. We get that nice and hot. Nice heavy cast iron pan as well, non-stick as well, so that's something special. So we've got our onion sliced, got my garlic here, just going to chop that up. Now you can mince it, you can slice it, you can dice it, you can do whatever you want with it. I like slicing garlic. I like to be able to taste some of the garlic, you know, and crunch as you eat your dish. Yeah, but it's really up to you. Got about 6 cloves of garlic. Got half a kilo of chicken there. Probably use about half a litre of the, maybe not even that much of the chicken stock. Going to pop those together. Just going to get those in a little bowl, ready to pop those into the pan. Potatoes, because they're nice and small, just going to cut them in half. Yeah, and they're going to go in halfway through the cooking process of the chicken. I don't want to put them in at the very beginning, because then they'll just end up being broken down and mashed up. So we want to at least keep them a little bit firm so we can have some nice texture when we eat the dish. And as they're already small, you don't want to be slicing them up too much, just a little bit of, just like that, just all of them cut in half. Yeah, so we'll pop that on the side. Got our oil going, so I've got the little seasoned flour here. Gonna have a wee taste with the finger. Got me clean hands on. Yep, that's nice. Wash your hands off again. Nothing wrong with tasting stuff with your finger, as long as you've got clean hands and you've got clean, you wash your hands afterwards, yeah? Keep your utensils nice and clean. Yeah, so number two son, he's doing graphic design. So he's done a couple of really nice bits and pieces. He likes that Japanese manga stuff. So he does a lot of animation, but we were quite proud of him during Eid. He made a beautiful Eid card that we actually posted and used as the family card, and also for the Emirates Culinary Guild. So with the chicken, we're just popping it in the flour, as you can see, just rolling it round, just lightly dusting, and as you can see, all the bones are still on the chicken, which is okay. That'll give us nice flavour, yeah. And the flour, as I said earlier, just helps to thicken up our sauce a bit later on. Gives a little bit of extra flavour to the chicken as well. So this is just basically a whole chicken, chopped up, bone and all, and then we're going to use that for our dish. Yeah, so he's really good at the old graphic design, and old cameraman Cody helps us on these videos as well. He splices and dices and does whatever you have to do to get a video looking good. And then number one over in Australia, well, he's a professional actor. We were just waiting for the big break. Yeah, we went home in January just before all this mess started, so we were able to witness him doing his stuff down at the Fairfield Amphitheatre, which was good fun. So I took down his uncle and his auntie and a couple of cousins, a couple of friends to watch him perform. But of course, like many industries at the moment, the theatre and the arts is suffering along with hospitality and some of the other industries that are really being challenged at the moment. It's good that we see some countries coming out of this awful crisis, but our industry, the hospitality industry, is still quite affected, and we're just more and more we see more and more small businesses going under, which is a shame. One of our friends, he's sent a note back to us over the last couple of days, saying that they just can't sustain their business anymore. So that was real sad news that we got from Australia. So yeah, it's not easy at the moment for anyone. I just washed my hands off. Yeah, so back to the chicken. Wash my hands off. Just going to pop the chicken now in the pan. It's nice and hot. We want to get a little bit of colour on this on the chicken before we put the rest of the stuff in. Then we're going to add in the garlic and onion. Sweat that off, and then we pop in the rest of our ingredients. So that just sits all nicely on the bottom of the pan. Perfect pot for this one. Going to get a bit of colour on each side, and then we turn them over one by one. So the rest of the ingredients are quite straightforward. We've got the butter beans here. So there's butter beans. I've got peeled chopped tomatoes from the local supermarket here. So we just open up a tin of those. Whoop. Spraying me tomato sauce around. Just wipe that down. So that's quite simple. These are already cooked. I've drained off the water, and I'll just add a little bit of extra nutrition to the dish for the young man who's going to make it. So I've got the chicken nicely going in there. Tomato paste, so the next things are there. We'll look how it goes, see how it thickens up, and then the rest of it I'll use it for a bit of risotto or something. So the key on this one is get the chicken cooked off nicely, add in your onions, get everything working together, pop in your chicken stock, and then cover him up and simmer him gently for a good 25-30 minutes. At about minute 15, minute 20, we pop in the potatoes, because these will only take 10 minutes, 12 minutes to cook. Yeah, so they'll be, as the dish finishes, the potatoes will just be nice. Yeah. What do you want to serve it with? Easy. Get some penne pasta. Just boil off some beautiful little penne pasta. Add a bit of salt and pepper and olive oil to the penne, a little bit of butter. Toss that through and serve your chicken with a little bit of pasta. Yeah. A little bit of green salad. You know, in all the supermarkets you see all this ready-made stuff, right? So you can get a lovely salad mix, leaves and nice flavours, some bitter, some sweet, and then you can just chop up a bit of tomatoes, toss through some, even put a little bit of Parmesan cheese through the salad, bit of olive oil, touch of balsamic vinegar, and then you've got a little side dish to go with your chicken. So it's not that hard, yeah, but it's just once you start sort of doing these sort of things, and if you're a young person and you haven't had any formal training in cookery, it's just, you know, the internet's a great place. Find a recipe. So we're going to turn these over now, our little bits of chicken. They're looking lovely and brown. Just sealing them off nicely. We could put a little bit of white grape in here as well if we wanted to, give it a little bit more flavour, but we won't. So that's nicely coloured now, beautiful. Yeah, that's looking really good. You'll have to trust me because you can't see inside the pot. My director of conference, Mr. Vikas, said that we should film inside the pot, but you'll have to take it from me, Vikas. It's all good, mate. Yeah. So that's browning off nicely. I'm then just going to break up the onion a little bit before I toss that in as well, and we're going to pop that on top, and then we'll start to mix that through. So our onion and garlic goes in. Very simple, straightforward dish. Nice and easy. We might do a little bit of risotto later on in another show coming up later on today or tomorrow. We'll just see how we go. Wish our mate Mick Mizzen happy birthday, 6656 Mickey. Yeah, good on ya. Just get rid of that. Yep, so as you can see the chicken's browned up nicely. So we're nearly ready to start throwing in the rest of the ingredients. As the butter beans are already cooked, they're going to go into the last minute as well. The onions are sealing off nicely now. The chicken's smelling great already. And remember, when we season this, you've already got quite a bit of seasoning on the flour, so the seasoning will come out into the dish. So right at the very end, we'll then adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper. Yeah. So we've got our chicken done. Our little onions are now done. Garlic, so we're going to just pop in 1 tin of the old tomatoes. Remember, food waste. Rinse out the tin with a bit of water, so you get all the last bits of tomato juice out. You know, remember, you pay for everything that's in the tin, so you make sure you get everything out of the tin as well. Then your tin's nice and clean, no food waste. Yeah, so you don't want that. Little bit of the tomato paste. We're going to pop in half of this one. This is about 100 grams of tomato paste, so we're going to put in about 75 grams, just to give that a little bit of a, it'll help it give it the flavour and also thicken her up. Oop, jumping out of the pan there for a minute. Just stirring that around in the pot, breaking up the tomato paste, mixing it up, and now we're going to pop in our chicken stock. Going to cover the chicken already, so that's about 700 millilitres of chicken stock. Give that another stir. You know, we don't want it swimming. Yeah, we don't want it swimming in sauce, but as the flour starts to thicken the sauce as well, we're going to have to keep an eye on inside the pot, just to make sure that we're not thickening too much. So we keep our extra little bit of chicken stock on the side, along with our lovely little butter beans. I'm going to add a little bit more oregano to this one, just another pinch or two. And I've got my other ingredients ready. So now we're just going to let that come up to the boil. And then we're going to pop a lid on. And when it's in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, in go the potatoes. 10 minutes later, in go the butter beans. 5 minutes later, bit of tasting. Check that the chicken's cooked all the way through. Remember, we don't want to be serving raw chicken to each other. And then we should be ready to go. So we're going to pop a lid on this now. And then we're going to make sure that we check that, bring it to the boil. When it boils, bring it down to a lovely simmer. And then we start adding the rest of the ingredients. Potatoes, butter beans, a little bit of chicken stock up our sleeve just in case. Good, so our chicken is now bubbling away nicely. I'm going to pop in the potatoes now, give that another few minutes of cooking. Turn it back up again to bring him back up to the boil. So the potatoes go in, maybe 10-12 minutes more. We've been, you know, the chicken's there. We've got nicely, the sauce is thickening up really nicely. So what I thought we'd also do is just sort of prepare a little risotto at the same time, yeah? Now for risotto, arborio rice, Italian of course, onion, garlic. I've got a pot of chicken stock on the back here, little bit of olive oil, and then we're going to pop in at the last minute butter and Parmesan cheese. A nice freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Now, risotto is one of those dishes that scares some and doesn't scare others. I know it used to scare me because, you know, you've got to make it properly, yeah? If you're trying to do a dish, make sure you follow a classical recipe and make sure you practice. But if you can get a good rice, yeah, and you're patient, and the trick is to keep the stock hot. You pour the stock into the rice as it absorbs. As the rice absorbs the mixture, you put another ladle in and you keep stirring nicely. You don't want to hack it. You're not making mashed potato. You need to stir it nicely, stir it gently so that the rice starts to absorb all the stock. And then the starch comes out of it and it gets this beautiful consistency. And then at the last minute we put in the freshly grated Parmesan cheese, not from a packet, a nice block of cheese that we'll grate freshly, and you throw that in at the last minute. And as you throw that in, a little bit of butter, finish the seasoning, and then when you eat the risotto we should be able to see little strings of cheese, yeah, as we eat. And I was told once by an Italian chef that it's always good to have these little strings of cheese inside. Now you can add whatever you want to your risotto, yeah? You add your shrimps, you add your mushrooms, you add vegetables, you add saffron, you can do whatever you want to your risotto, but I'm going to make a little plain risotto, chicken stock, and then we're going to serve that with our little Italian style chicken dish as well. So again, we've got arborio rice, so then we're going to finely chop our red onion, because we want a nice flavour of this one. Not too much onion, nice brunoise, nice and fine. Again, the garlic, you could mince the garlic if you wanted to. You could mince it, or you could just slice it and chop it up. But make sure that it's not in too big a pieces, because then after the onions and garlics have been sweated down in a bit of olive oil, that's when we pop in the rice. And we're actually going to put the rice, and we're going to cook the rice in the olive oil until it becomes slightly translucent. We're not going to brown the rice, we're not going to burn it. We're just going to mix it around with the olive oil. We're going to mix it up with the onion and garlic until it starts to get translucent. Then we're going to start pouring in our stock. So I've got half a kilo of rice, about 2 kilos of chicken stock, 1 onion, 6 cloves of garlic. Then there'll be salt and pepper. But then what I'm going to do, as the stock goes in, we just make sure that we have enough stock hot, always on the stove, to make sure we keep the absorption method going. Now you can buy a arborio rice that's already parboiled. That makes it easier for you. It's a little bit more foolproof, yeah. But this is a straightforward arborio. A good arborio rice from Italy, of course. You got to use arborio for risotto. You can't use jasmine rice from Thailand, doesn't work. Yeah, it's like making fried rice with arborio, doesn't work. Yeah, so tradition. Yeah, so garlic and onion chopped nicely, a little bit fine. I got my olive oil ready. Wash my hands off quick. Gonna stir the chicken again a little bit. Here we go. There's the chicken. Ooh, bubbling away nicely. Nice steam coming out of there. Beautiful colour on the sauce. Going to drop the heat down. I want it to simmer now. I've got my little stock in the back here. So a nice little chicken stock. I've skimmed off a few of the impurities. Yeah. Now I've made it with a bit of magic cube. Yeah, Maggi cube. It's okay. If you've got a chicken stock, if you've got whole chicken, and we'll do that later on in the week, we'll actually make a nice beautiful chicken stock from carcass of chicken. But at the moment we're just using something that's ready. You can also buy chicken stock in packets now in the supermarkets. But I think learning to make a good chicken stock is imperative, so that you know what you can do with it and see how else you can utilise the food waste. Remember, young chefs, it's all about food waste. Yeah. We don't want to debone a chicken and toss the carcass into the bin without actually using what's left on the carcass, yeah? And when you debone your legs or you take your breasts off, you want to make sure that you're utilising all the bones, yeah? And that's why we need a nice chicken stock. So that's just going to simmer. That's at 100. We're going to turn this one on. We get our pot. Our good old Rama olive oil again. Nice bit of olive oil in the bottom there. You're not deep frying, yeah, so we're just going to saute off the garlic, finely chopped garlic and the finely chopped onions. And then we pop in the rice, cook that through until the rice starts to be translucent, and then we start to put in the chicken stock, yeah, through the absorption method, yeah. Have another quick look at our chicken. Now this is looking great now. Now you don't want to overcook your chicken either, whatever you do, because then it's just going to fall apart and be all stringy inside the pot. We're going to have a little test of one of our potatoes, see how they're cooking. No, still a little bit too firm. So we've still got another 5-7 minutes to go on that one. We've got our pan on here at the moment, and then we'll also pop in now our butter beans. Remember, our butter beans were for the final part of the chicken dish, and it'll just give it another dimension, another flavour, another texture to eat while you're having it. They're already cooked, yeah, so they're all ready to go. So they really just need to go in there to give a little bit of flavour, and then also to get hot, yeah, because they're already cooked, yeah. Ready in tins, off the shelf, simple. Let's pop that in now as well. We give a little stir. Remember, when you're stirring things around, just be gentle. Yeah, don't stir things up like you're breaking concrete. You're dealing with food. You've got to respect it and you've got to take it easy. You know, just do it gently. Yeah, treat the food with respect, and then just make sure that it cooks lovely as well. I just washed my tasting spoon because I want to have a bit of a taste of the old sauce. Make sure that we're on the right track with all our flavours. Lovely. You can really taste the herbs and the flavourings we used on the seasoned flour as well that's coming through. So our pan is ready to go with our for our garlic and onion. We're just going to slide that in off the chopping board. In she goes. You can hear it sizzling away. Going to use a wooden spatula for this. If I can find my trusty wooden spatula somewhere in the corner here. No, that one's hidden away. Oh, can't find my other wooden spatula. I'll have to wash off this one. I like using wood. I find it good to use wood in cooking. It's just a bit softer, a bit gentler than stainless steel. So all we do now with the garlic and onions, we drop the temperature down a little bit because we're not going to brown them. We don't want any colour on them. We just want them to. We just want the onions and garlic to become translucent. Yeah. So it's quite quick. So we've got our 500 grams of arborio rice. We open this up because that's ready to go in as well. Just open that up. We're going to use all the rice. Oop, bit of a spill there. In goes the rice. Now remember, my stock's on the back, cooking away nicely. Now these haven't been on the floor, so they can go into my pot as well. And then we just stir. I'm going to increase the heat a little bit. And now I'm starting to stir the rice through, the garlic, the onion, and the olive oil is just getting that to be nice and translucent. Got the heat up a little bit as well. Just going to clean down my board. Keep ourselves nice and clean and tidy in the kitchen. Don't have any stewards working for me, so I don't want cameraman Code to have to wash up too much. So our chicken's cooking away nicely. We're going to stir put the heat back up a little bit on this one, and just keeping the rice moving, constantly moving the rice around. We don't want it to burn. We don't want any colour on the rice. We're just waiting for the olive oil and the onions and the garlic and the rice to turn translucent. Yeah. When that's done, we're going to add in our chicken stock little bit by little bit. We'll have a quick look at our chicken dish, bubbling away nicely. Just give that a little move around. Again, I want to have a look at one of the potatoes to make sure that the potatoes are coming nicely. Now remember, I've already got inside my my butter beans. Yeah, the potatoes are still nice and firm, so it's nearly done. Another 5 minutes. Yeah. And we'll be ready. I'll actually bring that over to cameraman Code so we can have a bit of a zoom in. Meanwhile, don't forget to mix around our little bit of risotto. If you think it needs a touch more olive oil, don't be scared, add a little bit more in, just to make sure that you're giving the rice the chance to become translucent as well. We're not frying the rice, we're just slowly sauteing it, yeah? I don't know, cameraman Code, if you can see that. Bubbling away, the colour We've got the batoli beans inside. We've got the butter beans, sorry. We've got the lovely chicken there, the tomato sauce, thickening nicely. You can see the consistency. You're nicely focused on that, Cameraman Code. Thumbs up from Cameraman Code, bit like KK Yao. Hey, happy birthday KK Yao over in Malaysia. It's your birthday as well today. Plus me cousin Anne in Australia. Cousin Anne's husband was the first person that actually gave me a break into the culinary field, Cousin Ian. So cousin Anne's birthday also today. Mick's birthday, KK's birthday. So 6/6 is a good year. Mixing, it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do now, I got my chicken stock and in it goes. I ain't going to put quite a bit in to begin with. I drop my temperature down. I'm going to cover the rice. It was 4 spoons that time. And now I've got it turned down and now we mix. So there's the rice just bubbling nicely. I got this turned right down. Yeah, so my cousin Ian, he was the one that gave me a break. He took me in when I was about, I don't know, late 16 or 17. And did a little bit of work experience with him down at one of the hotels when he was running one of the hotels down in the city of Melbourne. Then he bought himself a wee convention centre up at the top of Kew, looking out over the golf course. Absolutely winner. So a little convention centre. So I was up there selling tickets to the golfers for the 9-hole golfers and making pies and sauce. And then in the evening time we do events and that sort of stuff. So Ian was the guy that gave me the break into the culinary field, and we wish cousin Anne happy birthday as well. You know, for those of you that are in a position of leadership, you got to give the kids a break, right? Whatever you do, try and give someone a break. Yeah, give them the best you can. Give them an opportunity, let them run with it, yeah? And the satisfaction of actually getting, of seeing people 20 years, 30 years down the line, still in the industry and still being successful, I mean, that's what keeps me going as well. I've got lots of my young guys that I've worked with over the years, especially out here in the UAE, who are now all over the world, yeah, in senior positions, executive chefs, consultant chefs. Some of them left the industry, but hey, that happens, yeah. But what's really nice is that we all keep connected, and giving an opportunity to someone else is always a great thing to do in life. And us as leaders and as the old guard of the hospitality industry, we still need to push and promote and make sure that we're enthusiastic about the hospitality industry as well. Chicken, oh, beaut. Chicken's good. Little mix. Chicken's done, Cameraman Code. So we'll make sure that the chicken is not breaking off the bone. It's nicely cooked. The potatoes are holding their shape, and the sauce is absolutely gorgeous. So we're just going to turn that off, and then we're going to finish our risotto. Look at that, beaut. That's nice. And then we'll dish that up, and we'll have that for lunch, Code. Yeah. So we'll just turn it right down. Now the rice is just slowly taking in all the chicken stock. So I keep moving it around because I want the rice to absorb, but I also want the rice to become nice and shiny. I want the rice to be individual, not claggy. Yeah, so we're utilising the rice also to thicken the dish, of course. And then as the dish dries out, you know, I've only got it on a very low heat, yeah. So it's just absorbing nicely. You can turn that up slightly. And as the liquid absorbs in, then we add just another ladleful at a time. Yeah, we don't want a soup, we want risotto, and that's where the practice comes in. You got to practice to get your consistency right, and then you need to look at what else you can add to your risotto to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. Nothing better than a lovely plain risotto with some nice Parmesan cheese. Nothing wrong with that. But then if you can do a little seafood, you can do a little bit of vegetables inside, a little bit of braised Australian beef cheek, why not? Yeah, might throw some of that in later just for good measure. I want to have a quick taste of our chicken dish, sure that the sugar, the salt and pepper's right. Just pop that down just before we take it off the stove. Spot on. Just turn that off now and just let that sit there until our risotto is ready. So I'm going to increase the temperature a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so cousin Ian down at the Q Convention Centre, and it sort of brought me full circle really, because over in Madanat Jumeirah I also look after the convention business and the outdoor catering and the banqueting. Yeah, so I sort of started when I was what, 17 odd. I'm now 26, so I've been in the business 9 years. Yeah. You know, I've been in the business quite a while, but I've come sort of full circle from starting off in a banqueting situation, helping out in the kitchen, to now running one of the city's largest banqueting operations. Have a great team, and it's really something special. To do banqueting is different than just working in restaurants. You know, I always say, you know, working in restaurants is great, you know, because it's just at another level of service and that. But if we can get our banqueting to restaurant level, then that's special also. And guys that work in banqueting, they can work anywhere, because they're, you know, in a restaurant, your chairs and tables don't move, your kitchen's in the same spot. But when you do outside catering or you do bigger events, you're always on the move. You know, you're setting up, tearing down. You do from cocktail parties to business meetings to lunches to giant functions to outdoor catering. I mean, it gives you a great diverse knowledge and a great diverse portfolio on your CV. So I've been quite lucky to actually have that experience all the way when I was a younger bloke in Melbourne, my first job in a convention centre, and now over here in the UAE in Dubai, actually running one of the biggest hotel-based convention centres with my team. So it's good fun. And you always get to see things firsthand, you know, when we do some of the bigger events. It's nice. So our little risotto is coming along lovely. It's just, I'll bring it over to the camera to just have a show. So as you see, the rice is nicely individual, so I'm continuing to stir, and then as the stock gets absorbed, I just add another bit in. Yeah. So back on the stove. I'm going to get my parmesan out now, just clear my board. I got my salt and pepper, which we're going to do last. I want to now grate my parmesan cheese, so I'll get my trusty grater out. Got a great grater, this is a super one. And I just pop over to my fridge to get my little block of parmesan out. Right, so I got my parmesan in my little box, got a little bit of butter as well that we're going to do back here. This is now bubbling away nicely, absorbing the stock into the rice. This is a winner. So then we have our butter, which we're going to do later. Nice bit of parmesan, and then we just grate him down, making sure we don't grate the end of our fingers off and give ourselves a manicure. You know, parmesan cheese, beautiful, 18-month, 24-month, 36-month matured cheese, absolutely beautiful, yeah. Always better to use parmesan fresh off the block, yeah, because it smells of parmesan cheese. You know, if you open some of the packets of parmesan cheese that you can buy that's pre-grated, the oxygen has already started to affect the cheese, so you get that funny smell, yeah. But if you grate a fresh parmesan, it's a completely different smell profile than what you have on a packet one, yeah. So when you can, you make sure that you buy a beautiful block of parmesan, maybe not a whole wheel, but quite a nice piece of parmesan cheese, just so you can grate. This is straight out of the fridge, so it's a little bit hard, but it's okay. You can soften it up a bit, bring it outside, bring it up to room temperature. And then I've just I've just grated that off, as you can see. I like a nice piece of amount of parmesan. So I've got my rice still cooking. In goes another couple of ladles of stock. It's coming up nicely. You can see the volume in the pan rising as well as the rice absorbs the stock. Keep it down low. We don't want to boil it away. We want to make sure we give the rice the time to absorb the stock as well. And then just slowly backwards and forwards, moving the rice around on the pan. And you've got to be patient. You know, some things you just got to be patient. You know, you can't rush risotto. Yeah, you got to let it cook slowly, gently. You got to give it the time it needs. Yeah. And when you do perfect cooking risotto, yeah, I'm no expert. I'll leave that to my mate Domenico over in Italy. He's the expert. But next time he's here, I might actually cook one for him and see what he thinks of my risotto. Yeah. But the grains of rice are still whole. They're holding together. Yeah. And the smell is lovely. It's got that beautiful rice fragrance. Add a little bit more stock. Make sure that we keep it nice and moist. As I said earlier, we don't want a soup, but we also don't want something stodgy. We don't want something that we can use to plaster the wall with. Yeah. And definitely we don't want it all mashed up. Yeah. We want to see the grains of rice. So we're going to plate up our lovely little chicken risotto now. Just bring the risotto, make sure it's nice and hot. The butter and the cheese has gone through it. So now we pop a little bit of the risotto just in the middle of the plate like that. Lovely. And then our chicken, we just pop a couple of bits of our chicken, a little bit on top of the risotto like that. See the beautiful colour of the sauce coming through. And then we've got a couple of potatoes and a little bit of the beans there. Then we're going to dig out the potatoes, pop that there. We've got lovely potato and the white beans around the edge of the plate. A little bit of sauce. We've always got a little extra sauce up our sleeve. Let's clean that off a little bit. Now you could add a little bit of toasted garlic on top of this. You could add a little bit of brown onions on top of this. You add a little sprinkle of coriander and parsley on top. You could even actually add a little bit of a gremolata, which is like a lemon zest, garlic and dill sprinkle that's used for flavouring. But really up to you again. So a lovely Italian style chicken for uni students with a little bit of risotto. Hope you enjoy. Good to see you. See you next time. Thanks a lot.